mighimo langit sikoy ko kamighimo aldo ay bulan ikaw ang nagbuhat sa kabituunan ikaw ang nagbuhat sa kalibutan manama mawantog ka warag po ko ilingkoy ko o Diyos kahibulungan ka busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شمل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة دمام وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسلم والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you, when we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the lights of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Manama mawantog ka warag po ko ilingkoy ko o Diyos kahibulungan ka busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko busa ikaw lang ang alagaran ko.
Minamahal, ang isang ang matawag ko'y tagumpay na Joey, unmute. Joey, unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our virtual Science and Technology Forum on Traditional Health Knowledge and Quality Healthcare, our second forum for our second day of celebration of the Department of Science and Technology 2021 National Science and Technology Week in Central Visayas and Regional Invention Contest and Exhibit. May we acknowledge the presence of our participants from the LGUs, the academies, our participants from other national agencies and offices, our participants from the livelihood sector, our students, DOST scholars, DOST staffs, guests, and all of our other participants who from all walks of life. May we also acknowledge the presence of our participants who are viewing us right now via FB Live at DOST Siquijor PSTC official Facebook page. So before we move on, we are with our webinar this afternoon. May we go through our house rules for the webinar. So first, may we remind you to please rename your Zoom display name to your agency or organization or school, dash your surname, comma, given name. Second, all participants are requested to mute their microphones during the lecture. And you may also turn on your video and audio when asked during the question and answer and the photo op. Third, you may type in your questions in the chat box and they will be answered when the lecture finishes. Fourth, lastly, your certificate of participation shall be provided after filling out the evaluation form. We will send to you a PDF format of your certificate upon receipt of your evaluation. To access the evaluation form, kindly follow the link that is shown on your screens. We will also be posting the link on the chat box, so watch out for that. So our topic for this afternoon is quite interesting because not only is health one of the most important aspects of our lives, but also a study on the folk healing practices in Siquijor Island, which is a DOST Philippine Council for Research and Development will be presented. So without much ado, may we start the lecture for this afternoon on traditional health knowledge and quality healthcare by introducing to us the speaker for this afternoon's lecture. May we call in Engineer Mario E. de la Peña, our Provincial Science and Technology Director of DOST Siquijor Provincial Science and Technology Center, to introduce to us our honored guest speaker for this afternoon's forum on traditional health knowledge and quality healthcare.
Yes, Joey, daghang kayong salamat. Our guest speaker for this afternoon is a multi-awardee for research for the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development funded study that she led on folk healing practices of Siquijor Island, documentation of Philippine traditional knowledge and practices on health, and development of traditional knowledge digital library on health. In 2016, the study was awarded as one of the 5 outstanding research papers during the first Philippine Herbal Medicine Summit research competition at the Century Park Hotel in Malati, Manila. In 2018, it was also the winner of Share Award for Research during the 3rd Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development. And in 2019, our speaker was awarded as an Outstanding Siquijudnon Award for research for this study. On top of the study, during the course of her career, she completed funded researches on health and community practices, such as the research on socioeconomic contribution of Senora River and Lassi Siquijor, cultural and other community practices in relation to the utilization of Senora River, and the research on how the Department of Health and other interventions on the gap in health outcome disparities among LGUs. All in all, she completed a total of 15 researches and received 11 awards and commendations during her course of career as a researcher and as a professor. In 2016, she was awarded Science and Technology Partner for Science and Technology Award by DOST VII. She is currently a professor of Siquijor State College. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker for today on the topic Traditional Health Knowledge and Quality Healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Giselle B. Mansueto.
Hello, I am Dr. Giselle B. Mansueto, and my task for today is to share to you about the traditional health knowledge and the quality health care in Siquijor Island. To give you a view about our island, Siquijor is located in the southern part of central Visayas. So here, as you can see, this very tiny island is Siquijor, and these are the 6 municipalities. Siquijor has a total land area of 343.5 kilometers only, but it is boasting of a 102-kilometer long coastline, and most of the coastlines are pristine, white sand beaches, crystal clear seas, and rich marine biodiversity. More importantly today, Siquijor is already known for having its rich traditional health knowledge and practices as practiced by its people. In terms of population, with its capital town also is named Siquijor. In terms of population, Siquijor only has a total population of 95,984 as of 2015. That is roughly 0.1% of the total population of the whole country in 2015, or 0.09% only. Siquijor is the smallest town of the provinces in the central Visayas, and its towns are the narrow floodplains and delta around the coast. Most of the interior portion of the island is either hilly or mountainous. Rising to a central peak is the Mount Bandilaan, which is 557 meters above sea level. So as you can see, this is the entrance to Mount Mandilaan. This verdant trees over here, and what makes this special is that Mount Mandilaan is the seat of the healing festival, where the local healers do their rituals during the Holy Week, and at the same time, this is where the healers mainly get the plants and the herbs for their medicines. Since Siquijor is now a rising tourist destination, with 51% being foreigners and domestic is 49%, Siquijor is also very keen when it comes to its waste in the province, such that single-use plastic is strictly prohibited. So that if you want to go to Siquijor, you have to bring your own water tumbler always. So now we go to the 6 municipalities of Siquijor, just to give you a picture of this beautiful island. First is the Siquijor municipality, which is again the capital town. Siquijor celebrates its Dilaw Festival, or the Fire Festival, to commemorate Siquijor as the Isla del Fuego, or the Island of Fire, which is how the Spanish conquistadors described the island when they first came here. Siquijor Port is the main gateway of tourists, since ships and fast crafts traveling from Dumaguete City anchors here. The next would be San Juan. San Juan rivals Lazi and the beaches of Maria because it has a very nice white sand beaches, long stretches of sand beaches in the island. San Juan is also considered the tourism center of the island. In terms of festival, Bugwas Festival highlights the town fiesta every August. And bugwas means a gush of water from the ground, symbolizing a fruitful harvest for the farmers and a rich catch by the fishermen of San Juan. The next would be Larena, formerly known as Canuan or Canunan. Larena is a vibrant and the center of the commerce and trade. The presence of big commercial establishments, banks, and the Secure State College makes Arena vibrant and going. The Arena celebrates Canoan Festival every May. Then we go to the smallest municipality, which is Enrique Villanueva. This was once a barrio of the municipality of Larena, and it got its name from the former governor of Negros Oriental. Formerly known as Talingting, the place is home to a species of bird, fish, and tree that all bear the name Talingtingon. If you are lucky, you can catch the pamukad, a fish harvesting activity of the local fishermen that seemingly takes on a ritualistic dimension. Pamukad comes from the Visayan word bukad, which means to catch fish. Then we go to the next municipality, which is Maria. In a certain village in the island before, they said that there lived a beautiful woman called Kangmenia. Aside from her beauty, she was well loved by the people for she was so kind, and it was in her honor that they named the village after her. When the Recollects came in 1880, then in the same year, the Kangmenia was changed by the Spanish friars to Maria in honor of the Blessed Virgin, a change that the people did not find hard to accept. Maria celebrates the Lubi Festival, a lively and colorful cultural tradition held every May. So the last would be the municipality of Lazi. The town was originally known as Tigbawan. It's a name derived from a plant known to grow along its base. It is the second town south of the capital after San Juan. Lazi is blessed with a marvelous confluence of its natural wonders and the artistry of its people, known to the locals as the Music Town. The town fiesta is in honor of Saint Isidore the Farmer, and they also have their saging or banana festival, a street parade showcasing the usefulness of the fruit in the lives of the people. Now we go to this part. Since much has been said about the mystic island of Siquijor, but most of it is also a misconception, given its remote location, Siquijor, which is bounded by the bigger islands of Cebu, Negros Oriental, and Bohol, it has to strive on its natural resources to address its health needs. This knowledge was interpreted by some as sorcery, but Siquijor is actually blessed with a wealth of health knowledge and practices that it became a part of the people's way of life. With the DOST PSHRD TKDL project from 2014 to 2019, it intentionally clarified the mystery surrounding the tiny island and revealed a wealth of the people in traditional sales knowledge among its people. So that sometime in the late 2019 early 2020, our provincial resolution was made changing the tagline of the island from the art of island living to the healing island. This way, as it said here, it significantly helped to clarify the misconceptions of this island and promoted the province as an island of well-being. So that for the next part of this presentation, I'm gonna show you now the traditional practices of the people of the island. So this is the DOST-PCHRD funded research that ran for 5 years, 2014 to 2019, but actually those are just 3 phases, and each phase has 12 months, so that's 3 years. But we started in 2014 sometime in August and then ended in February 2019. We were able to identify 377 plants from 91 families and employed both qualitative and quantitative methodology lasting again 12 months per phase. First, in the mountain communities of Siquijor, or mountain barangays where Mount Mundilan is located, and then we moved to the coastal barangays of Siquijor and San Juan, and then to the river communities of Lazi and Senora River. So before I present, I'd like to show you a simple documentation of the activities conducted by the team in the second phase of the project in the coastal communities of San Juan and Siquijor. Okay, so there you go. So, during the project, so these are some of the plants that the healers gathered and were used for medicines. This one, the leaf plants here, and this coconut tree, these leaves. These are usually used for pahauli. So when we say pahauli, it's just to return you back to your normal health status before, like for example, before you got sick or before you got an illness, or before you felt like you're not feeling well anymore. And these are the flowers. These are also used for medicine. And then this one, sometimes you can just see them by the roadside. But actually, they're medicinal as used by the healers. This one, they call this the Mickey Mouse plant because it does really look like Mickey Mouse. The next would be here from the, they got this from the sea. This one, the jellyfish, the sea snake. This is also another type of starfish. And this one, the butete, they call this butete. So this is a video before. You got it. We took video of the starfish first. So after gathering all the needed plants, minerals, specimens from the sea for the medicines to be developed by the healers, this is now how it's made. This is the healing festival, as I have said earlier, in Mount Bandilaan, where they start to make their minasa. This is conducted during Holy Week. And then that minasa is composed of this coconut milk, candles from the church and from the cemeteries, oil, vinegar, and then this one, the minasa, they mix it here. So a tiny part of this can be used also already for protection and some for treatment. So the products would include this one. If you go to Sikio, it's very famous, this one, himughat. Himughat is a health condition wherein, in other terms, it's relapse, but actually himughat is a cultural term. So how would you describe it? Describe it like based on my experience, himughat, when you are bughat, it's like you have trancaso, flu, fever, your body pain is aching, muscle pain, and it's like your teeth are falling out, you're so weak. So just take this one, mix with wine or medicinal wine, like for example, kulafo, you can use this. Just drink one shot. That's it. And then this one, the ointment, the hot plus, is very good for skin infections or rashes. This one is the famous, they said, lumay or the charm or the potion. This is made from sweet-smelling plants, flowers, and the Velcro plants. And this is not only for love, but actually it's also for good social relationships, interpersonal relationships, in your business, in your friends. There's also mixed with oil here. And then the famous healer's oil or the lana. This one. This is also applied in the pulse here in the wrist. It also can also be used for massaging the sprains. Next are the healthcare practices. The traditional knowledge of the healers and even the people also, they use diagnosis sheet method also for prevention. Local healers also, like any other, like in medical services or in the medical profession, they also do referrals. And even when it is not within their specialty, they go to another healer to ask for help. So like for example, in this case, in this video, this woman, she's also a healer, but her grandchild is Spain, and then this man is famous for being a good healer when it comes to Spain. So she came to him. It's not like, well, I'm the healer, I will not go to another healer. No, it's not. They are helping each other, and they recognize also the specialty of each other, of the healer. Here, and then the lana is somewhere on this side. The healers are this one. There are 5 major categories of health practices here. Knowledge practices: hilot, tawal, tuob, palina, and tigi. Tigi is for diagnosis, all the rest for treatment. So hilot also has different variations like plain massage. Sometimes they use oil, another one use liniment, another one also with Latin prayers or orasyon. And then the tawal, Latin prayers, and there's also Latin prayers with the sign of the cross, and then just a little like tutho in Bisaya. And then the tuob. The tuobza is used for toothache, and they use the seeds of that yellow flower, and based on studies, that yellow flower is a narcotic plant, so it really eases the pain of toothache. And then tube also body fumigation, either is 5 minutes or 30 minutes. And then another variation would be body fumigation with oil or minasa and holy water. The next would be palina with holy water or with the ritual and candelaria. And then the tigi or diagnosis to determine the cause, first whether it's natural or it's supernatural or it's from a person. So they use tawal, they use also papel or paper, and then the subay with stick. I'll show you a video later about this one. Subay means to retrace the steps, meaning to go back and see and try to determine what caused the illness or the ailment. And why stick? Because there are other kinds of subay also, but this one is with stick. And then when it says yes, there are particular questions. When the answer, when it says like yes or agree, the stick become longer. When it's no, it becomes shorter. And that's just one stick. I'll show you the video later. And there's also other practices include hiringa, pangalap. The pangalap is when they gather the herbs, not just the herbs, but also from the sea, as I have mentioned earlier. And then hiringa is like, they call it like irrigation, wherein you uh, to cleanse the internal part, the intestines. It's like, how do you call it? It's like cleansing. And then they have also from the word pulso. Then they check whether your pulso, then they will know the cause of your, again, ailment or your sickness. And then they have this kudlit and all these other kinds of practices. Sikh is also famous for this bolo bolo. Here, this one. There's a straw, a glass of water, and then there's a stone. Now we go to healthcare. Healthcare is defined as the provision of medical services to prevent, diagnose, and treat health problems. Primary health care is care of all at all ages, all people, everywhere. They all deserve the right to care. Right there in their community, right there where they need it immediately. I'd like to show you the conceptual framework for self-care by the World Health Organization, which will become the focus of this research or this presentation from our research. So we look at the role of the home or family, the traditional medicine and socio-cultural practices, because you will see later on also the role of spirituality and religion, the community, health financing in terms of financial expenses on health, as well as a holistic view on health in the community and in the person. Traditional healers play a central role in scaling up community health care. In some areas, traditional practitioners are the first contact and sometimes the only health providers available, and traditional herbal medicine remedies are used for primary health care. So in our research, based on our research, especially in mountain barangays or mountain communities, it's really very hard to immediately avail of the services in the institutional level, like for example, the rural health unit. And during our interview with the people, they would prefer to go to the local healers because they are just right within their family or their neighbors or in the next barangay, rather than go to the RHU because sometimes, as they said, there are no people reporting in the RHU, the health workers, because they are on a scheduled basis. So with this, traditional healers can really play a role in scaling up community health care because without it, community will never have to move forward in providing better care to the people of the community. The World Health Organization acknowledges the contribution of traditional and complementary medicine to the health and wellness of the people and in short to the delivery of healthcare service. Since 1970s, the integration of proven traditional practices with the national health system had been advocated, and in the Philippines that has been done by PITAC and along also with the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Act of 1997. In a study on the traditional Malay medicine, it showed that traditional medicine really played a role in scaling up the society. Traditional medicine can foster dignity and self-confidence in communities through self-reliance because they now have the avail of it in their own area while reducing the country's drug cost. Meaning to say, country don't have to buy or procure medicines from outside, but since people are already relying on their own medicinal herbs or traditional medicine. The integrity and the dignity of a people stem from self-respect and reliance, and in terms of health, traditional medicine, traditional knowledge is already a move towards self-reliance. In the research study in Sikihor, several plants were being used to address primary care, like common ailments, example wound infection, sprain, fever, cough and colds, and even boils. So this was from different phases of the project. Why is primary care important? Because unless there is an immediate care given to a person, then, for example, wound infection would become more serious. Fever, cough, and colds would have maybe symptoms of a more serious problem, so we have to address this first. Practitioners of traditional and indigenous medicine rely mainly upon the medicinal plants and herbs for the preparation of therapeutic substances. In our research, we have identified more than 300 plants, and when we did our data mining research about the folkloric uses of these plants from other cultures around the world, there are about 200 that has also been used by other cultures around the world. So meaning to say, we have this general knowledge about these particular plants and how they are being used, but there are still like around 100 plants that were not identified yet. So these plants might become major potentials or can be considered potentials for further investigation and to validate it, and may also result for breakthroughs in therapeutics and healthcare delivery, or it might be drug discovery in the future. The World Health Organization recommended the following. First, support and integrate traditional medicine into national health systems in combination with national policy and regulation for products, practices, and providers. Acknowledge traditional medicine as part of primary health care to increase access to care and preserve knowledge and resources. Increase the availability and affordability of traditional medicine as appropriate, with an emphasis on access to poor populations. So during the Gamutang Pilipino organized by the PITAC and DOST and also Cagayan State University in 2019, we recognize that Philippines has a wealth of knowledge, and we take into consideration and we respect and we included in this activity the key informants for the reason for this activity, the traditional healers around the country. This way, we are trying to integrate them or make them more active, more visible, or if possible, we can mainstream them in the healthcare. And lastly, ensure patient safety by upgrading the skills and knowledge of traditional medicine providers. Based on our study again in Sikihor, we found out that the healers were using plastic bottles because these are recycled bottles for economic purposes also. And there was a suggestion that it's better to to place these medicines in a glass bottle so that there is less reaction. So that sometime in 2017, the OST provided a project for the packaging of the herbal medicines in secure. So these are the examples that we have, as what I have also presented in the first part of this presentation. And this is what I said earlier, the TAMA, or the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Act of 1997, and the PITAC, or the Philippine Institute of Traditional and Alternative Healthcare. The PITAC advocates for the development and use of traditional and alternative healthcare in the country, and PITAC was created with the objective of improving the quality and delivery of healthcare services to Filipinos by integrating traditional and alternative healthcare into the national care delivery system. As you can see in this picture here, these are the research teams across the country, and majority of them are the healers or the key informants of the research projects conducted nationwide. If you look at this is one the main objective, ang pananaliksik at dokumentasyon ay esensyal sa papapaunlad ng gamutang Pilipino. So we do documentation so that we can preserve our culture, we can preserve our health knowledge, and pass it on to the future generations for us to better improve and integrate a holistic health care to our people. The World Health Organization has been encouraging governments to assume an active role in recruiting traditional healers to be part of primary health care. Some countries are already doing this one, and we do hope so that we can mainstream all this and realize the advocacy of the PITAC and also the TAMA of 1997. A study was conducted to provide guide to healthcare professionals And in the study, it also included Filipino culture. So in terms of illness and beliefs, Filipino culture showed the acceptance of Western medicines as well as use of traditional folk practices and or spiritual roots of illnesses or the causes of illnesses. In terms of religion and spirituality, mostly a Roman Catholic, and Filipino patients may incorporate prayers, massage herbs, and other techniques when it comes to traditional healing or medicine. And traditional healer is considered to be important, and yes, it's true here also. And may consider physical and emotional pain as a challenge to one's spirituality. In our study, these are the following findings that we had. When a person is sick, they are usually being taken care of by their family, both nuclear and extended, and sometimes by their friends or neighbors. Since people seek help from local healers, care here is seen as safe and a positive experience since the sick person can freely discuss with the local healer, who is usually a member of the community, a neighbor, or family member, so they know each other already. The study communities, they also define a person, a healthy person, one who is happy, no ailment, and looks forward to the future. When ill or suffering from health-related problems, people primarily address it by themselves using their local knowledge in primary care. Like, for example, when we interviewed the community, we went to the community, we found children and asked them what do they do when they had scratches or wounds, and they said, gamito na mo hagunoy. They said, what's a hagunoy? So it's a plant that you can just find by the roadside, and they know it. The children know it. And then, if the family cannot address this, if they cannot address it, if there are more problems, they refer it to local healers. And finally, they go to the medical practitioners, to the hospitals, or to the doctors. If the third resort has not cured them, the people return to the local healer and then simultaneously resort to folk healers and to the doctors. Traditional medicine is often used for treatment, and people often go to healthcare providers whom they know and trust. Then again, these are our local healers. And since local healers demand very minimal cost, the services sometimes for free, communities have access to the health services without suffering financial hardships or worrying about the financial cost, thereby relieving them from the pain of the financial cost of treatment and care. So this we go back to the advocacy that it should reach the disadvantaged, or shall they say the poor people, to be able to attain quality health care. So if we look at the conceptual framework again, we go to the home as the first basis or the initial institution to assist them in their health care, the community, the healers, and now we look into a holistic view because they trust the healer, they know the healer, there's positive experience, and etc. And we look at the economic aspect of the provision of healthcare in terms of health financing because it's at a minimal cost and sometimes it's provided for free. These are one of the strategies we did to document and preserve the knowledge of the people. So we grouped them and they were able to show their experiences with the healers and share their knowledge in medicine using plants. First is this one. As you can see, he was vomiting and then he was brought to the hospital, but he did not get well, so they have to bring him to the healer and now standing up again. That means the healer was able to cure him. This one was a drawing. This is a drawing about the herbal medicines around them that they can find just around in their houses, in their backyard, or in their neighbors. And they even wrote here what these plants are for. This one is another example of going to the healer asking for help. And then this one is the healer, and these are the plants that he used. So all these the communities were able to preserve and document their knowledge for the future generations to be able to use. With that, through traditional knowledge, the traditional healers, and the recognition and utilization of this traditional knowledge and medicine, people were able to get affordable health care. They were able to avail immediate health care. They were able to prevent serious complications and health problems because of the primary care given to them. And with all their experiences and knowledge, they were able to get holistic and community-based health care. So we can say that traditional health knowledge in Sikihor was able to contribute or attain quality health care for its people.
Unmute, Joey, unmute.
That was such a profound presentation, Dr. Mansueto. So there are a lot that we could learn from the lecture, such as one, that there are major categories of treatment of the folk healing practices of Sikihor, such as hilot, tawal, tuo, palina, and tigi as diagnosis. And second, we also learned that based on the shown conceptual framework of the roles of people in the community on healthcare starts from self-care for health and well-being. So I'm sure that our participants have already keyed in or typed in their questions into the chat box. Before we start with our first question, let me announce that our FB Live participants may also key in or type in their questions on the comment section of the live streaming. So before we start with the Q&A, let me call in Dr. Mansueto. Dr. Mansueto, are you ready to address the questions from our intelligent and curious participants?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. Yes.
All right. So let's start with our first question. Our first question is from our first question is from Riz Casinilio Bargamento. Her question is, where can we buy the himughat, potion, and other healing products of Sikihor?
You can just procure it from the healers themselves. Okay. Pag magbatambal ka sa healer, na naging sa di tambal daan. So, anywhere, basta na healer, pwede. Then, napun na sila yung mga tindahan, ginagmay, pwede po makapalit.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Our next question is, what is really the effect of lumay? Is it true that it can attract love to those who take it? Is it really a love potion?
According to the healers, actually, lumay has many properties, characteristics, or efficiency. One of that is katulaging love siya. But basically, para din na siya interpersonal relations so that you can get along with your peers for your business. Ibutang nimo siya sa imuhang butanganan bitaw halin. That's where you put also the lumay. But when they said also love potion, ang tao may love nimo, but as they said, napod siya yung negative bitaw, like pag mahupas siya, the tao pod will hate you so much pod. That's what they said.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to our third question. In relation to the pandemic nowadays, is tuob advisable to prevent COVID-19 symptoms?
That would be the field of medicine. It's hard to say that, but here in Kihor, nag-practice nagtub long before the pandemic para sa mga respiratory problems, mga gipang ubo, gipang panuhot. And usually, basta panuhot and matunog, it's a cultural Bisaya term. Mura siya, mo result into cough and cold. So, it's being practiced. But to say that it will help or prevent COVID, it's hard to really say that because there is no scientific evidence yet.
Okay, thank you. So our next question is, do you think these traditional health practices are still being observed or are still known by the people nowadays?
Insecure is really prevalent. It's been practiced, and even children, they even know what plants to use for primary care, mga wounds. The children knows that. So insecure, actually, you will notice that people are just rely around themselves for the plants and everything. Even me, I learned it in Sikihor. here, our neighbors practice it. So it's not seldom here. It's already a way of life of the people when it comes to health already.
All right, thank you, Doc. We have here a question from our Zoom participant, Ms. Riz Bargamento. Her question is, Kumintang is used for what?
Based on our research, the healer says that it's used for the treatment of menstrual problems and leukemia. It's taken internally as a decoction. So something sa dugo.
Okay, so we have here a follow-up question. How can we avail the alternative medicine? I'm in Cebu. Also, is it possible to have virtual card reading and palm reading?
Based on our documentation sa healers, there are some healers who can entertain cell phones ra. Pwede.
Okay, so our fifth question is, does tawa-tawa leaves really affect positively for curing dengue?
I think have been studied already to lower down the incidence of dengue. So if I remember, nigawas ng tawa-tawa, and here in Siquijor also the healer said it can also help tawa-tawa and katong leaves sa papaya.
All right. Our next question is from Ms. Dal of Silliman University. Do you think that traditional health medicine is helpful in this pandemic time?
Oh yes, when we say primary care, it's very helpful. You have your slight cough and colds, it can really help that so that it will not worsen. And also traditional medicine and traditional health does not only focus on healing, but also when we say healing, it's the prevention. So it's really important and it's really good also.
So that's good to know, no? So in the through that we could relate traditional health knowledge and practices with medicine. So it's very timely.
Yes.
Yes, Doc. Our next question is curious lang po from USJR, Mr. Christopher Nakwa. Curious lang po, approved by DOST ang lumay?
DOST cannot say it will approve or not because it's the healers, it's a cultural practice, a cultural knowledge, and you cannot just validate it based on scientific evidence because there's also that aspect of spirituality and that aspect of whether you have faith in the efficiency and efficacy of that particular lumay. So I don't think DOST can say that it's approved or not. That's highly psychological actually.
All right. Okay. So our next question is from Riz Casinilio of Bargamento. Ma'am, pwede na ipa-deliver ang mga himughat, mga potion, love potion, kaya wala man mi sa Siquijor?
Pwede ra. Pag mo-order mo sa healer, pwede ra. Ipadala na nila sa inyo ha. You can always contact the healer. Some sa among mga kaila sa Manila or outside of Siquijor, makakontact sa directly sa healer. We give them the contact numbers. But well, first we have to ask permission first. Pero pwede ra. Ako sister, naka-order sa Manila, ipadalhan siya.
Okay, so where can we find the contact numbers for these folk healers, Doc? If ever they would like to order.
Well, the easiest would be to contact the president of the Healers Association, si Junel Tumaroy, who is also a healer. Mas dali siya makakontact because our record before was that way back like 4 or 3 years ago, basin dili na mao ang ilang mga numbers. But we have the names. We have also the expertise sa inyong gusto ganahan kay not all healers knows all of it. So like one healer knows 5 practices only or 4 practices or even 5 or more. So depende the problem unsa ilang ganahan. But definitely they can contact them.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Our next question is from Miss Catherine S. Rojas. Is it dangerous to have hilot if you are having your menstruation?
The healers did not say anything about it. Based on my research, what the healers and the community just said, na gidugo ka, dili ka pwede maligo. Mura na akong nabawan. But as to the hilot, wala. But based also on our interview sa doctor sa hospital diri sa Siquijor, they also recognize hilot, but she said, dili jud pwede daw mag-aplas, maghilot sa tubangan. Meaning sa tiyan, sa likod pwede ra daw siya. But never touch sa tubangan jud daw.
Okay, thank you, Doc. We have here a question from Aspirin VGL of DepEd Cebu City. Good afternoon, Doc. Is there a natural medicine for seizure disorder?
Seizures? Na ba ito yung
Yes,
seizures?
seizure
Mga
disorder.
epilepsy. Unsa gini Bisaya sa seizures gani? I forgot
Mao ba ni
sa Bisaya.
ang patol? Mao ba na siya ang kuan?
Oh, murag patol. Aya. I don't remember if there is a patol nga kanang tambal mananambal nga makatambal siya.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next question from Marlo Burse of USC. Was there a scientific study on the effectivity of the potions and concoctions formulated by these traditional healers? Is there empirical data to support the effectivity of these traditional treatments?
Yes, so the difference between the conventional and the traditional medicine is that traditional medicine did not undergo any medical validation. So when we say was there a study, I think nobody studied it yet, and maybe nobody just further into it, but based on traditional, it's actually based on your belief, your practices. It doesn't need any science to prove it. If people believe that the potion works, then it will work, I think. If people don't believe, then it won't work. But based on my experience also, based on my knowledge, nagi mo gamit og lumay, not para sa love potion, but usually para sa business ilang gamiton. But I know somebody, I don't know if it's really effective, but she really bought a potion, nagpatabang siya namo, nagyuban na naman siya sa healer, then because she wants the man to really fall in love with her, but we don't know what happened. There was also no feedback.
So it's more on koan sa psychological aspect, Doc. So like using a particular healing product can like probably encourage the person to push more, mga ingon ana.
Yes,
All
mura
right.
bag mo bagaim nawong if you have it.
All right. So koan, let's move on to the next question. From someone anonymous. Thank you so much, Dr. Josel, for the revealing and interesting presentation. Our question is, for Siquijor herbal and traditional medicines, how do we go about processing them for them to be labeled by FDA as approved or therapeutic purposes?
Actually, based on the plants that we identified, around 377, there are others that were not identified yet. So, secret siya. But those that were identified, there are already mostly nagamit naman siya therapeutic na food, pero dili pa siya gid sa FDA approved, but has been used na sa mga like so tawagan ni kanang mangosteen, something like that, kanang mga lagundi, gina-practice sa mga tao dire, but that's already been proven by science. Nana siya. There's some plants already here nga nagamit na gid siya and studied na. Wala na siya problema. There's also other plants that are still on the road for drug discovery, and that is also one step if we go forward with this research.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Doc, for that answer. Let's proceed to the next question from Mr. Roland Padayhag. Traditional healing is known and popular in any part of the country. How does Siquijor healing different from others, particularly the Muslim healing, for example?
I don't have any particular idea about the Muslim healing, although I grew up in Lanao, born and bred in Lanao del Norte. But based also on the Pista ng Panggamutan Pilipino, wherein all the healers in the country came into one activity and shared the different types of practices. What's different with Secure is that I cannot say if there's really different or they are the same because each one is unique. Each location is different. So we don't know what are the practices in the other places yet. But if they want to know if there is similarities or differences, we have the TKDL library that will be posted, I think, online already. All the documentation research conducted in the country for the past like 5 or 10 years will be posted there, including secure. So maybe from there, he can get the different types of healing practices and see the difference and similarities.
All right. Okay, Doc. And we have a question from Mr. Francis Kadugdog. Hello, ma'am. Unsay tambal sa kabuhi given the fact nga cannot be found in medical terms siya? Thank you, ma'am.
Ang kabuhi kay maghaplas mi sa mong kuto-kuto and then mag-ini tubig na butangan siya 7 or 9 or 11. Basta kay add numbers nga dahon sa atis. Usually katong freshly sprout nga dahon. Makatambal siya sa kabuhi. Kana siya. Mura amo
All right. So we have a question here. Can you give a bird's eye view of the research you conducted? There were 3 phases: highland barangays, coastal barangays, and senior river area.
So this research documentation is that what we do, we go to the healers and then mag-document yun mi sa tanang klase nilang pagpanambal. And then fortunately, if naay pasyente, naay kliyente, and then they will allow us to take pictures or videos, we do that para ma-document, ma-record na mo. And then whatever they use pagpanambal, they will also have to identify ang mga dahon or mga minerals or sa mga dagat kailangang gamiton. So for every healer, it's different. For every healer, it's different specialization. They are like doctors, the lines of specialization. For every healer, there's a different basis for their power or their gift. And for every healer, there's different stories beyond that gift. There's different limitation for that particular gift. So in this study, we do not only identify the plants or the minerals, we also study the cultural or the social aspects of the healer. And then we also study the personal aspects of the healer. And even kanang mga beliefs and practices sila, we study that also. So it's a holistic approach, not merely just to document those plants and everything. So if you look at this book, there's one book for plants and the materia medica. There's also another book we're developing for the healing practices that is mostly socio-cultural. And there's also the purely Excel format that we do, katong super scientific with all the scientific names na siya. So this is a very, very broad research. We always go into the field. We always go with the healers almost every day during the documentation period. So it's like living with the healers, except that you don't sleep in their houses. That's the research that we conduct and we do.
Wow. So that one word, impressive. So our next question is, based on your presentation, the island of Siquijor seems to be rich in flora and fauna, and it is rich and abundant in herbal plants and healers. What makes Siquijor's herbal plants and healers stand out from those of the rest of the regions, or what makes them unique compared with those of the other regions in the country?
Maybe it's because Siquijor is geographically isolated. So the traditional knowledge and practices is only within them, and then there's no intrusion. And then it's different because in Siquijor, they have like the main source of their medicinal plants, which is Mount Madilaan. And it's different also because in the preparation of their medicinal herbs, of their medicine and everything, they have like this partner basis. Like for example, if I am a healer, I don't do everything. I have my herbalist, mutabang upangalap. And if I need something, gikan sa dagat, I ask somebody sa dagat nga healer na contact na ako. So it's like a team. They work as a team. So that's what makes it different. In Siquijor, the healers work as a team. They do not work alone. They always have somebody to ask for help. Needed plants and minerals for their medicines. So I think that's what makes Siquijor different. And most of all, basically because they are all Roman Catholics. mostly, if not all of the healers are Roman Catholics, so they have the same religion, they have the same practices, and the people in Sikihor are also highly religious. So that makes it very different and very unique here in the island.
All right, thank you so much for that answer, Doc. We have here a question from Ms. Dal. Are culture and THK of Sikihor helpful during this pandemic that the virus are not rampant in the island for only few are infected?
Long before the pandemic, Sikihor people are really practicing a healthy lifestyle, a healthy habit, because they have a rich knowledge of health practices. That's why they know how to prevent diseases rather than just healing or illnesses. When it comes to the COVID also, we cannot just say that it's because of the traditional health knowledge. It may, yes, yes, because of the health practices and the rich knowledge, it helps them improve their immune system to fight COVID if there's COVID. But we do not have also to rely on the we need our political system, and with that also, since Sikihor is one of the lowest incident, that would be attributable to the local leaders of Sikihor and the policies they put in place to protect the people of Sikihor.
All right, thank you so much for that answer, Doc. We also have a question here from Miss Catherine S. Rojas. Is serpentina leaf also good for kabuhi, even though it is bitter?
The Bisaya sa serpentina leaf. What's the Bisaya of serpentina? Wala ko kabante sa serpentina because usually basta kabuhi, what we do is katong lana, then katulad ng init sa at down sa atisra. But for serpentina, I cannot say for sure about it.
Okay, we have another question here from Aspirin VGL of DAP at Cebu City. Does a guayabano leaf heal or prevent hypertension?
Guyabano leaves. Madali, ha? Wait sa ha. Ngitas guyabano. Guyabano is identified as one of the medicinal plants here, but I cannot remember what is it for. Can I just get back once I get the uses of guyabano based here in Sikihor?
Sure, Doc. You may get back.
Abano. Abano na siya. Next.
Okay, while we are still waiting for Doc.
Yeah.
May we remind our FB Live viewers that you can also ask your questions by typing in or keying in your question on the comment section of the FB Live streaming.
Abana. Abana. Ako sa dali, kadali. Abana, wait sa abana yun.
Ito man yung Bisaya. Abana, Guyabano.
Karihara na siya, abana, Guyabano.
Okay, so while we are waiting for Dr. Masueto, may I remind everyone to please don't forget to accomplish the evaluation form through the link that I'm gonna post into the chat box. We will also be flashing the link again later before we turn over the forum to our trivia masters. Would you like to answer the next questions while waiting for the use of guyaban?
Okay, so proceed na lang sa next. Kaya ako pangitaon sa tong abana.
Okay. Or
Say.
Our participant I may also message Dr. Mansueto through her can the participant message you, Doc, through your
Yes.
FB
Yes, they can message me
account?
sa FB na lang. Yes, okay. Because there are 3 books here and it's hard to find where is the Abana. But I'm sure Abana is also one of the plants identified for healing, but I don't know I can't remember what kind of illness was it.
All
Do you have
right.
another
So
term also for Abana? Nato like term sila sa Abana. Sige na
okay.
ma'am, okay, sa FB na lang.
Okay. Shall we proceed to the next question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our next question is, thank you so much, Dr. Jusel, for the revealing and interesting presentation. Our question is, for secure herbal and traditional medicines, how do we go about processing them for them to be labeled by FDA as approved for therapeutic purposes? From a Zoom participant.
First and foremost, the healers are not into having it approved by FDA because wala man nila gipugot. It depends upon kliyente ganahan siya mutuo sa tambal. But for FDA purposes, we already asked them about it. Depende if anybody is interested to really go forward in the next level for drug discovery or for the FDA approval. But healers themselves, mainly themselves, they don't care about FDA approval. They are not tell you that. What they're interested is makatambal sila. They can provide the tambal needed by the patients nga madto sa ilahang balay. Ingon ano siya.
Thank you, Doc. Ms. Reese Casinillo Bergamento is asking for your FB name.
Giselle Belsinia Mansueto. That's my FB name.
Thank you for that, Doc. So we still have 2 more minutes to cater some more questions. So let's proceed to our next question.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Pwede
Doc.
Nana. Ates Abana ang name dire sa Guyabano. And then it's used for hypertension and kidney problem taken internally as a decoction. Ang gamitin nga parts are bark and the leaves of the tree.
All right. Okay, so I think that answers the question of Ma'am Reese. Let's proceed to the next question. What do you expect? What assistance do you expect, Doc, from our government in order to pursue this research and development undertaking?
The drug discovery, if anybody is interested to study some plants that might help in providing medicine, like sa primary care or maybe higher level of medicine, like sa mga marine species bitaw sa dagat gikan, mostly gamitin magud siya para sa mga poison or hilo. And then during the previous conference also, somebody said that magamit ang mga poison maybe para po to treat poison in the future. Like for example, like in the discovery that I watched yesterday, ang mga poisonous ng mga animals, gigamit nila ang mga venom to treat also mga venom or mga poison concerns, mga problems sa nerves. So who knows magamit ang sa marine. Kaya more on sa marine is para siya poison. If there are anybody interested. And Secure State College is also open to collaborate with other universities who are willing to venture into the analysis of the plant's food.
Wow, Doc, that would be a promising topic, Doc, to tackle on in the future. So the next question is, granting that there is a huge pharmaceutical industry who will invest in full research and development from your study, have you identified herbs that would possibly be developed into medicine? If you have identified, what are these herbal plants?
Most of the plants that we identify were practiced around the world, meaning to say there were already studies. So the studies will be conducted for the medicinal use, but there are plants that we haven't identified yet, and we are not sharing it yet. Kay sikreto pa man siya. But these plants nga wala na-identify, usually according to the healers, they can treat cancer. Muna isulti sa mga healers. Mutoy dili gid na mo ma-identify pa so far.
All right. Maybe we can cater 2 or 3 more questions before ending the Q&A. So we have a question here from Ms. Althea R. Arenajo. I am a pharmacist and I am very interested on product development, most especially on plants and herbs. So is this a comment? No, it's not a question. So that's good to hear, Althea B. Arejano. We have a question here from Miss Zenaida Betonio of DepEd. Good afternoon, Doc. I would like to ask, what is the traditional medicine for almoranas or
Constipation.
or even synthetic medicine or hemorrhoid?
Identify constipation is one of the illness that we identified or the ailments that we identified. But as to the plant, I still have to check sa database kung unsa nga plant ang gigamit pagpatambal. So, if they can contact me, I'll share them ang gigamit according sa healers, magamit tambal para constipation.
All right, thank you.
Let me record.
So for our last question from Marlon Tanilon, does the Sikihor provincial government not plan to regulate the practice of traditional healing?
You cannot regulate the culture of a people. It's actually a cultural practice. It's a cultural knowledge. One cannot regulate that unless the people themselves just stop practicing it, stop believing in it, stop doing it. Then there's nothing you can do about it. But if they continue that and even enhance it, knowing that we need to be very reliant when it comes to health, then nobody can regulate when it is good for the people. It's hard.
All right, so that was such a mind-stimulating discussion, Dr. Mansueto. So for that, on behalf of all the participants at the Department of Science and Technology, I would like to thank you for your time and effort and for your support in speaking to us today in this forum. And please receive a certificate of appreciation from the Department of Science and Technology Regional Office 7 for your invaluable and exemplary service rendered as resource speaker during the National Science Technology Week in Central Visayas and Regional Invention Contest and Exhibit Virtual Science and Technology Forum entitled Traditional Health Knowledge and Quality Healthcare, given this 26th day of August 2021, signed by the OIC of the Office of the Regional Director, Engineer Jesus F. Zamora, Jr. So thank you so much, Doc, once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
And indeed, Sikihor is a healing island.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you.
It is our utmost goal and present priority in DOST to address through science and technology the impacts of the circumstances through the test of time that may through the circumstances of the test of time that these circumstances might cause us. So before we thank you so much, Doc, for your support. Taghang salamat.
Welcome.
And thus our theme for this year's National Science and Technology Week is Agham at Teknolohiya tungon sa hamon ng panahon. So before we turn over the forum to our trivia masters to to see how much our participants have learned from the lecture, let me remind all the participants to accomplish our online evaluation form through the link on the chat box. And may I request all the participants to please turn on your cameras for the photo op. So for the first slide, 1, 2, 3, smile. For the next slide, 1, 2, 3, smile. For the third slide, 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, thank you. So I am Joey, your MC and moderator for this afternoon's forum, signing off. So let me turn over the floor to our DOST scholars for the fun corner.